Welcome to the Mailtime Podcast. I am joined today by Raphael Herbst. He is the Deputy Director of the International Relations Department for Magen Adom in Israel. Raphael, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you very much for hosting me.
I wanted to get right into it. What have you been up to the last 2 years on a personal level and also on an organizational level?
So I think both personal and organizational level are the same. The last 2 years have been very busy for us in Israel. Sometimes the time that went by seems like everything is burdened. It's one long day ever since 6:30 in the morning, October 7th of Simchat Torah, where we unfortunately were never again should never have happened here in Israel. And I'm very proud that I'm part of Magen David Adom. And right away we joined and all men on deck. And I'm happy that we could contribute a lot for saving lives here in Israel during this difficult and awful time.
What would you say the biggest lessons are from October 7th that you learned on a personal level and also from Magen David Adom?
Wow, that's a great answer. A great question. I don't think there's one answer, but I think it begins with a great leadership. And a great leadership is not only to have great people as a leader of an organization, but to have people with a great vision. And even greater than that, to have people not only have a great vision, but have a rare ability to turn that vision into reality. And the reason I'm saying that one of the first things that you learn in the world of disaster management, that it's all about preparedness. And the Israeli way for preparedness is, don't worry, when something happens, we'll deal with it. We have a lot on our plate right now. But Magen David Adom did not wait. And more than a decade ago, we understood that we have to change the narrative of the way that we are thinking. Magen David Adom is not only Israel's national EMS services, but also Israel's national blood services. And our leadership understood that even though it hasn't been done anywhere else in the world, we understood that we have to protect the blood, not for Magen David Adom, but for the people in Israel. And we understood that the blood should be a strategical asset for the people in Israel. And we built an underground protected blood facility. And coincidentally, when October 7th broke out, October 9th, the underground blood facility was fully functioning and working, completely coincidentally. And
Meaning that it had been in process for a long time, but it just happened to be that it was able to open on October 9th, correct?
we were very lucky that it happened, because usually when there is a crisis and we have to move everyone to a bomb shelter, we actually have to go down in production because the bomb shelters are small, and you have to decide how many people you bring inside the bomb shelter and how much equipment. And on the other hand, the rise of the demand doesn't meet the ability. And I think that this is the first time in the world that not only there was a rise in the demand, but we had the full ability to meet them. For an example, Magen David Adom processes usually about 1,000 blood units a day. And the government came up and said, look, we need you guys to go up 3,000 blood units a day. That's to go up in 300%. And Magen David Adom did it very easy, very fast. We had the area, it was protected. We had the machines, we had the tools, we had the personnel, and we did it. By the way, the mortality rate during the independence war in the battlefield was 50%, meaning 50% of the soldiers in the battlefield that were wounded did not survive. And since the Iron Swords, the mortality rate dropped to 7%. First of all, great work of the medical corps of the Israeli Defense Force. But this is the first time in the world that soldiers were receiving in the battlefield whole blood units, which is a great contribution for saving lives in the battlefield. The other good thing that we also had experience during COVID, and our experience, we learned that as an EMS organization, we have to learn to expand very fast. So we built capabilities to expand. For an example, we have ability to open up very fast call centers, so people should not wait on a line to get a medical response. The volumes of the calls when they rise, so we have enough places and people that can answer the 101 phone calls. and our fleet has grown from 1,200 ambulances to almost 1,900 ambulances, plus 600 medicycles and another 200 first response units. We have another unit of
You guys,
special buses.
you guys are building, and the other thing is, I'll just plug to all the people who helped. I was very involved, still very involved, in just trying to make sure that people receive proper equipment in the field, and that also helps combine with receiving blood in the field to make sure that you have the best possibility for people to survive while they're defending the state of Israel. I want to ask you specifically about the relationship between Magen David Adom and the IDF, and also the mass casualty incident readiness. There's a lot of misinformation, a lot of lies, a lot of, I don't want to say confusion, but in English media, people are able to push a lot of different ideas. If you wouldn't mind, could you just run through the relationship between Magen David Adom, Home Front Command, the IDF, and how, God forbid, there's a big incident, how Magen David Adom is really the essential partner for all these different organizations?
So it's very interesting that you're asking me this question. In Israel, it's mandatory for men to do the army service. I'm a lieutenant colonel in the Home Front Command, and for the last 4 years, I became the commander of the Home Front Command unit that supports Magen David Adom in times of crisis. And the army understands that in order for the municipalities and the civilians in Israel to continue to thrive and to continue to function, it needs a strong EMS organization. The army depends on Magen David Adom, but the challenge is that a lot of people from Magen David Adom join other units in the army during times of crisis, and the needs in the country are rising, and therefore my unit supports with almost 1,000 paramedics and ambulance drivers Magen David Adom. That's number one, and we saw that in few examples. First of all, October 7th, we had the ability to send many people down to the south to help save lives, endangering their own lives in order to save other people's lives. We saw that in the police station in Sderot, for example, and all the other places. And during the Rising Lion, we saw that when Soroka was hit by a missile from Iran, we understood in Magen David Adom that we need to evacuate the hospital. And we had the ability to send a fleet of 3 special buses that can transport every one of them 7 patients in critical conditions, with ventilators, with monitors, with a high level of medical support. And my soldiers were the drivers of these buses, together with Magen David Adom buses and equipment. We managed to work together. Also during COVID or getting ready for an earthquake, we understand that we need everyone together. The second thing is that when something happens, people don't call the army to say that they need help. People call the EMS services. If their house is hit by a missile, nobody knows the number of the relevant unit. They call Magen David Adom. Magen David Adom have representatives on the army sitting at the National Dispatch Center, and other way around, and they get a full picture. And one of the first phone calls when something happens, the general of the Home Front Commands connects very fast with the Director General of Magen David Adom, Eli Bin, and he gets the right and relevant information, exactly what is needed, where is needed. And by working together, I think many, many, many lives here in Israel have been saved because of that exceptional coexistence.
You're really trying to take all of these different systems, bring everyone together, work as a cohesive team to ensure that everyone knows what they're doing. They're able to work seamlessly and bridge the gap between the civilian needs, the military needs, and obviously when there are massive ballistic missiles that are heading toward Israel, as was the case twice with Iran, it's important that you have these kinds of things in line. Obviously, a lot was learned from October 7th, but you're trying to get ready for the next war. You're trying to get ready for the next time that, God forbid, people in Israel, Arabs, Druze, Jewish people are under attack, God forbid. What steps is Magen David Adom taking right now to prepare for if, God forbid, there is another war?
So first of all, when we talk about preparedness, I have to let you on that we could never do it by ourselves. The friendship and the support of the Jews in the diaspora are essential help for us, and this was a huge beacon of light during October 7th. I don't know if you know, but Magen David Adom is not funded by the government, and the support that we get from our brothers and sisters in the diaspora helps us get ready. So our fleet of ambulances, our medical supplies and equipment, our training, everything that we do is together with our friend societies around the world,
I don't
especially.
want to. I don't want to cut you off. I spoke to Ori Shacham about this. I have my own opinions about how things get ready, but I do agree with you that right now that's definitely what's necessary. I do hope, personally, those who tune into the Mailtime podcast, I hope that one day Magen David Adom stands on its own two legs, 100%, and that people are able
I think
to.
that's
Yeah.
the normal that should happen.
Yes,
But because
God
of what
willing,
happened,
Israel's a young state. I understand, but I'm just saying that in the future, I would love to see that change. But I agree with you right now that it's important that people
I think
support.
that you're
Yeah,
right, but this is reality.
correct. Yes.
Um, and for an example, another way that we are preparing, all the time we're preparing for what's coming up next, is never looking back, thinking that what happened, this is what the next war would look like. We always have to be prepared for the worst. So we equipped all our management teams with a special GPS communication that even if the phones in Israel, the cellular phones fall down, get shut down, we can still communicate with one another directly through the satellite without a second party, for an example. We do a lot of drills. We believe that people, the way they do the drills, this is the way that they will work in reality. And this is why we have to make sure that our teams and management are prepared. We have to make sure that we have enough medical supplies. And now that everything is only in one place, we have over 200 stations all over Israel, more than 34,000 volunteers. And we are trying to get even people that do not volunteer from Magen David Adom to be part of that. So, for an example, we have a special project that we call that the Magen Project, where we educate municipalities how to respond from the medical point of view to anything that might happen, and if the routes will be blocked. We believe that people should be able to take care of themselves and not to be dependent on the services if they cannot arrive. So we supply them with medical supplies and training and connecting whatever we can. For an example, we have together with that a great project with the midwives. So if there's a lady that has to give birth also in times of escalation and we can connect her to a midwife that is in that area, she can get a better treatment even in times like that. Doctors, physicians who do not volunteer work from Magen David Adom, anything that happens nearby, they should get a notification from an app, designated app, so they can save lives. Our organization is political blind, color blind, organization blind, doesn't matter which organization you belong to. The nearest and relevant medical people should all be able to have access to save lives. Not everybody should get the information. Not everybody needs to know that Mrs. Cohen is not feeling well, but the nearest and most relevant medical teams nearby, they should get a notification. If they cannot respond, we'll expand it to another 10, another 15 until help arrives and fast. And this is how the system works. And I'm very proud to be part of this organization that all the time is looking for another innovation to be better at what we believe in, and that's saving lives. Life matters.
Raphael Herbst, thanks so much for taking the time. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy travels in the United States to talk about what you guys are doing. And for those in the Miami area, Magen David Adom has a gala coming up on December 15th. I would highly encourage all of you to attend. Eli Sharabi was speaking with Jonah Platt. I don't agree with Jonah Platt on anything except for the fact that it's important to support Magen David Adom. So, Raphael, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much, Daniel.